Hello people, welcome to episode 2 of how to make a Dandylike or Delverlike in Godot. In today's episode, we're working on some more of the basic mechanics, and let's just get into it. First off, we're going to start off with stamina. Now stamina, it's really easy to do stamina. You'll see. Let's start by adding a child node, a control node specifically. Control nodes are they're like UI elements. This control mode will act as basically a container for all of our other UI for the player. It's just going to help a lot if you want to change up the resolution or something. So, click on the control node. On the right, you should see this button called Anchors Preset. Click that, then press full rect. Now it is scaled to our screen. So now let's add a progress bar for our stamina. So this is our progress bar. We're going to go on the right side, go to Layout, then layout mode, we're going to change it to anchored. Then anchors preset, we're going to go to bottom left. Then here, we're going to scale up this. We're going to scale up this stamina bar to be about this big. Yeah, you can make it as big as you want. It doesn't matter. Then we're going to make the anchors match that. That will rescale our stamina bar if we ever change the resolution. So it always stays the same size. Very useful. Yeah, trust me. Anyways, we're going to also rename it to stamina bar, just for consistency's sake. So now we want to add the keybind for running. Let's go into project settings, input map, add a new setting for run. Now add, and then press plus, make it shift, or whatever you want. You can make it something else if you want. Close. Then we go to actually script running. So running is very, very easy. Since we set up the current speed value already, we could just make it use that. So let's start with var run speed float equals 7 var walk speed float equals 5. So that will be our temporary values. We'll add scaling to the speed in a second, but first we actually want to make it the running work. So in here, set current speed equals walk speed. Then if input dot is action pressed run, current speed equals run speed. Now we're able to run. You may notice that our movement is very it's very robotic. There's no friction to it or acceleration. So now we're just going to go on a little side quest fixing that. So first off, we're going to want to save the y velocity. I'll explain why in a second. Then down here, velocity.y equals old y. Then now down here, instead of this code, we're going to do velocity equals velocity dot move toward current speed times direction. And then we want to pass in, just do 1 for now. Up here, we're going to add var excel float equals 2.5. That'll make us accelerate at the rate of 2.5 something per sec. I don't know what the actual speed values are. I think it's meters. I think that's the right value. I mean right term. So now down here, we're just going to want to do move toward vector3.0 and just use excel again. Now, if you open up the game, it's not very noticeable, so let's make it like 0.1. Yes, that is much more noticeable. So, let me explain what we're doing here. The reason we have to set velocity.y to 0 is because velocity.moveToward, that doesn't just move the x and y. That moves all 3 axes, including y. And we don't want to set y to 0 because then we can't fall and we're just going to glide in the air. So instead, we save the old y and then set the y to that old y. It's a bit confusing, and I don't know why there's not a better way, but it works. So the reason we don't use the system before, where we just use velocity.x and velocity.y and move towards those, is because it would make the movement look very jagged for more funny little math reasons that I don't feel like getting into right now. So now we have some acceleration. And now, if you go into the game, it is much more obvious that you are actually speeding up. So now let's make walk speed and run speed actually scale with the speed stat. And to do that, we're going to modify our speed scaling curve. Now we want to change that to walk speed scaling and make a new one for run speed scaling. Then down here, we just want to do walk speed equals run speed scaling dot sample. No, not run speed, fucking walk speed. How did I mess that up so bad? Then we want to do the same with run speed. So then up here we have to make our new curse for it. So for walk speed, I want to do, and down here we want to do, so now we have scaling for both. We have scaling for both of our stats. You can mess around with the values. Obviously, please mess around with the values as these are very temporary. Depending on your game, you will probably want there to be you will probably want different values depending on your game's balancing. So now let's actually make the stamina stat. Let's start by going var stamina float equals 0, var max stamina float equals 0. So var. Now we also want stamina pause time and stamina drain rate. Stamina drain rate float var stamina pause time float, and var current stamina pause time. Then we also want var stamina regen rate. Let's start by making scaling for max stamina. We are going to make that min domain 1 to 5, and then let's just go 100. Let's just go from 100 to 150. These are temporary these are temporary values. Please change them. Please do not use these in an actual game. They are probably not balanced. Then we're going to want to go max stamina equals stamina scaling dot sample new character dot stamina. So now we have our stamina scaling done. So now let's make stamina regen and stamina drain. So if I'm going to put a comment here, so for stamina, I don't know if you noticed, but I did move a little bit of stuff around for in between that cut, just for organization's sake. You don't have to do it. So first off, let's start with stamina regen. If stamina is smaller than max stamina and stamina pause time is smaller than or equal to 0, then we are going to want to do stamina plus equals stamina regen rate times delta. So let's go up to stamina regen rate. Essentially, this is going to be the amount of stamina you get back per second. So let's just make it 4 for now. let's change up our code a little bit. We're going to only want to change change the speed when the input is pressed or released. So elif input dot is action just released run, then we will change back to walk speed. So this allows us to do this. Current stamina pause time equals stamina pause time. Now up here, we also want to change this to current stamina pause time. I made a small mistake there. We also want to make a variable var is running bool. I made a small mistake there. I forgot to do that. Then we're going to want to do is running equals true, is running equals false. Then let's remove all that. Then we do if is running current speed equals run speed, else current speed equals walk speed. Now here, we also want to do stamina minus equals stamina drain rate if stamina smaller than or equal to 0, then is running equals false. Is running equals false. Then up here is running equals false, and current stamina pause time equals stamina pause time. Then up here we want to check if we can actually like run in the first place. So let's see, and stamina is bigger than 0. Now let's make it so that we can actually see what stamina we're at by changing the stamina bar. So first off, let's make an export. At export var stamina bar colon progress bar. Then up here you should see that. So then we click that, and now we can access the stamina bar. So stamina bar dot max value equals max stamina. Stamina bar dot value equals stamina. Then that will let us see our current stamina. I do not seem to be running. Well, I did a few things wrong. I didn't set the stamina pause time, so let's set that to 0.2. Okay, I forgot to add points to the stamina scale. Now we have stamina, and it regenerates, and we can't... I forgot to make it actually reduce the current stamina pause time. Minus equals delta. So now, we want to make it actually drain our stamina. Because, yeah, we aren't checking if... It is draining our stamina, we're just not checking if it's running, so... And not is running. Oh, the stamina drain rate is 0. Okay, equals 0.3. Let's set our stamina drain rate to 0.3, and there we go. Now we have very basic stamina system. Again, do not use these values that I did for all the stats. Do not use these. They suck ass. Please do not do these. They suck ass, and they will make your game terrible and unbalanced. So now we can run around, and yeah, that's stamina. So for our next thing, let's actually make our lobby and our elevator. So let's expand out this CSG box to be way bigger. Boom, boom. You can put whatever you want in a lobby. It's your lobby. Before we create our elevator, let's organize our project a bit. Let's create a folder named levels. That we will put main into here, as well as all of our floors in the future. And here, let's create a folder named objects, where we will put our player and our base character. We will create another folder under that named core mechanics, and under that we will place these guys again. And then under core mechanics, we will create a folder named characters, move base character into there. And now we have a more organized project. Very important that you organize your stuff so that you can actually find it when your game becomes much bigger. Now, let us create our elevator. It's a core mechanic, so let's create it in there. Right click, create new, and then create a new scene. It's going to be a 3D scene, and let's name it elevator. We have our scene. Let's make a little box that's going to be our elevator. Let's create a CSG combiner. Again, I must reiterate, do not use CSG for your actual release of your game. It is super unoptimized and will lag. It will lag so badly. Oh god, it's so I'm just gonna do a time lapse of me making this epic elevator. Also got to tick use collision so that it does collision. This is the elevator time lapse, the elevator time lapse, the elevator time lapse. Elevator, this is the elevator time lapse, the elevator time lapse, the elevator time lapse. Elevator. Oh yeah, I'm making the elevator. And I also elevator. Oh yeah, chili dog. I love elevators. Oh yeah. This is the epic song that plays when you make an elevator. Oh yeah. Now this is happening. Chili dog. Okay, there's our little box of an elevator. Let's make the door. First, we're going to want an animatable body 3D. It's kind of like the static body from the first episode, except you can animate it. Yeah. Now, we're also going to want a collision shape inside of it, and we're going to expand it out to be about the shape of the elevator. And then we're also going to want to add a mesh instance 3D. Make that a box mesh. Now we want to give that the same size as this, 771. 771. Now we're also going to want to move that up to be about the same there. So now we have our little door. Let's move it in a bit. There we go. Now you can actually see the door. Now let's make an animation for the door going up and an animation for the door going down. Go here, add a child node, make it an animation player there. I don't know why I was going to say like animation player 3D. That's not a real thing. See on the bottom here, there's a new animation track. Like animation, new, and then we're going to name it open. Boom. Now, go to property track. Then we're going to want to double click animatable body 3D. Then go to position. So now we have our little position. Let's right click here, click insert key, then move that to right here. That will make it keyframed to that specific position. Now, let's make another animation, new. I just realized this is the closed animation. Okay, yeah, rename this to closed because I'm a dumbass. Now, we're going to go new. We're going to make open. Now do the same thing, property track, animatable body, position, and insert key. But here, instead, we're actually going to move this up so that's open. So let's go whoop. And then on the right here, go to transform. See this little key button next to position? Click that. Then, if you did everything right, now when you go to here, when you press open, it opens, closed, it closes. But we want a bit of a transition between those. So go to here, go playback options, and then see where it says default blend time. Change that to like 0.3. There. That will blend the animation, though it's not immediately, though it's actually not. Actually, no, it does work. Huh. I didn't think it would work in the editor. Well, now that we have that, let's go back to main and let's drag and drop our elevator into the scene. Let's make sure it lines up perfectly with the floor so that the player can actually get in and get out because they can't jump, remember. You can turn on grid snapping up here, by the way. And boom. Let's open up our... Oh, I made an error somewhere. So remember when I told you to reorganize the project? Yeah, I forgot to tell you to change this because we moved where the character is. So let's go character. Let's go load base character.tscn. Now, when we open the game, there we go. It's normal again. So now our elevator exists, but we can't go inside it because I didn't make it so that you could go inside of it. So let's go into the elevator and make it so that it can detect the player. First off, we actually want to go into the player. Never mind. Click on the player. And on the right side of the screen, you see this little groups button. Click that. Now we want to add a player group. Click that. Player. And make it global. Okay. So, what is a group? So essentially, a group is kind of like a tag that you put on an object, and that lets other objects detect if that object is in the group. So if you have like an elevator or something, and you want it to open when the player gets near it, you could have a little collision box there, and check, hey, is the thing that just went inside the collision box a player or not? And then if it is a player, then we open it. If not, then we just do nothing. That's what we're going to do right now. So, click Add Child Node. We're going to want to make an Area 3D. In Area 3D, it's kind of like a collision box that you can't actually like collide with. Like, the player can go through it. It still detects that the player went through it. So, Add Child Node. We're going to add a collision shape 3D. Let's go back to Inspector. Go with box shape. Doop. Doop. And let's make it a bit thicker. There we go. So now, we're going to go into the elevator, and we're going to add a script. Name it elevator.gd. So, let's make an export. At export var area 3D. Now we're going to assign it. Boom. So then, ready. So then we're going to remove ready. And in process, we're going to do for node in area dot get overlapping bodies. What that is going to do is going to loop. It's going to let us loop through every single node that the area is colliding with. And we're going to check if it's a player. And if it is a player, then we're going to open the door. And if it's not a player, we're just going to do nothing, as I mentioned previously. So if node dot is in group player, then we are going to, I forgot to do the export for the animation player. So export var animation player. Then just put a pass here for now. Assign, do that. Boom. Then we're going to go animation player dot play, and it won't autocorrect your name, so we're going to do open. Then we will be able to walk up to here. What did I do wrong? Oh, wait, what? Okay, it started working. I think I forgot to save the player scene. Oops. I think that was it. Yep. Anyways, now we want to make it actually close, so we're gonna have to change up the code a bit. So let's do var player is touching bool equals false. So then let's do, instead of animation player.play, let's do player.touching equals true. So then let's go into here. So if player is touching, then we want to play open. Otherwise, let's play closed. So now when we walk up, opens, walk back, closes. Very nice. Why does it shut so? I don't know why it shuts so quickly, but it works. So, okay. So now, let's get into floors. Yay! Whoa! Yeah! Yeah, baby! Floors! So let's start by creating our floor scene. So we're going to want to make a folder, name it floors. Let's create a new scene. Let's name it floor template. And here is our floor template. Let's do another CSG thing. Don't use CSGs in production! They suck and lag your game! I have to specify this every time I use CSG. I do not want people to take away using CSG from this video because they're terrible and they suck ass. And I hope CSGs die. It's a fucking node. Why? Don't ask why I'm so mad about about a node and a fucking game engine. They just piss me off beyond belief because fucking they're extremely useless if you actually publish your game. Anyways, time for another montage. Yo, Carson's making level, and he's also really gay, and also he also really likes men. Yeah, that's so true. Also, I have to poo. Do you too? And also, I took shit myself. Wow, that was a really good montage. Anyways, let's add a child node 3D, and we're going to want to rename that to elevator position. This is where we're going to spawn the elevator at. Let's just move it like right over here. Actually, let's move it over here next on the blue line, which is the Z-axis. That way, it'll probably face the right way. So let us make a script for the floors. We will be using this for every single floor, so make sure to make it modular, or else I will come to your house. I hate unmodular code. This is why Danny's World pisses me off. So let's start with @export var elevator pose node 3D, and let's just assign that. Boom, and that's kind of all the code we need right now. Yeah, let's go back to main. So we are going to make a node called it's a node 3D. We are going to name it world. We're going to put the CSG box under there. And what this is going to do is essentially under world, we're going to keep levels, all the levels under there. So the reason we put the CSG box in there is because that's part of the lobby. And we want to unload the lobby and then load everything else into world. So essentially, whenever we load a level, we're going to delete everything in world and then replace it with the next floor. All right. Now we want to add a script to node 3D. Let's add that, and we want to name it world. So now let's go @export var level node 3D. Then we want to assign world to that. So then let's also make @export underscore file path var floors array, and make sure string. Make sure you do string. So this will allow us to have a little thing here. Then we can just click this button. Then you select the floor you made earlier. So now we'll be able to load scenes from this floors array and create our levels. Let's actually make a small distinction for the floor by just duplicating this and just like making it like a really big thing here. Yeah, just so that we actually know that this loaded. So let's go over to floor, go here. Then we also want to give this a class name. Class name floor. This is a special tool that will help us out later. Then go to world. We want to do, and by later, I mean right now. Let's go var current floor : floor. And that's our current floor. Now we also want the elevator. So let's head over to the elevator and also give that a class name. Class name elevator. Let's make a way to check how many players are in the elevator. Var players in elevator int. So then we just want to do players in elevator equals 0. Well, so let's make a new area 3D. This one we will rename to player count checker. Then let's move that further inside the elevator so that we can check like back here-ish. And since we duplicated this collision shape, it's going to be a reference. So right click, look, make unique, so that we don't have to that when we edit this one, it doesn't edit this one too. So let's make that like that and that. At export var player count area 3D. Then let's assign that. So then let's go for node in player count area. Don't get overlapping bodies. Node.isn'tGroup player. Then we will increase that by 1 and remove this one up here. We're going to want to make another export variable for the elevator. So at export var elevator : elevator. Then right here we assign this to elevator. So then here, let's remove our ready function. Then let's see if elevator dot players in elevator is bigger than 0, then we load in a new floor. So let's make a new function for that for organization's sake. Load floor. Then we want to underscore load floor. And then load floor. Let's first of all choose a random floor. So var new floor string equals floors dot pick random. You can change this up later if you want, like later we want floors to show up a bit later into the run. So then new floor dot, then we want to var new floor scene equals load new floor. Then we want to go current floor equals new floor scene dot instantiate. Now we want to clear out the level node. So for node in level node dot get children node dot queue free. Then we want to go level node dot add child current floor. Then let's also make it so that it doesn't load a new floor every single frame. So let's just do var floor is loaded bool equals false. Then we want to do and not floor is loaded. And then let's do floor is loaded equals, actually no, floor is loaded equals true. Why did I do false? Now, if we run the game, let's go into here, Ooh, oh, ooh. So, I forgot to turn on use collision here. I made a small issue here. So, the reason why this happens is the floor is loading. The floor is not loading the elevator at its elevator position. So how do we do that? You'd think that we'd want to move the elevator, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Because the player's inside the elevator, and they're not a child of the elevator. So if we move the elevator, that's just gonna if we move the elevator, the player's just gonna get ripped out from it, and they're just gonna stay in the same position. So what we're going to want to do instead is move the level around the elevator. All right, so what we want to do is we want to do current floor dot global position equals elevator dot global position minus current floor dot elevator dot elevator pose dot global position. And then that will work. Okay, turns out I didn't like do the values for. So we didn't put the elevator position at the exact right spot. It's supposed to be right up here. So now when we go in, yep, there's our level loading. Yep, that works. So now into our last mechanic of the video, items. Items are actually pretty easy. Let's get into them. First off, let's create a folder for them. Create new folder in core mechanics, name it items. Then let's make our item scene. We're just gonna make a very basic stamina items because those are usually the most fundamental. So let's go. Let's make it an item and okay. So here is our item. Let's start by making a script for it. Attach script, item.gd. Then at the top, let's also do class underscore name item. So here we just have an empty script for now. Let's just keep it at that for now. Then on the right, then on the left, let's add a area 3D. We will be using this to check if the item can actually be picked up. So under it, let's add a collision box. Make it a sphere shape 3D. Make it pretty decently big, like about that big, I say. Yeah. Then we also want to give it a visual, so let's just give it a mesh instance. Make it a sphere mesh. Boom. There is our very, very, very basic item thing. So now let's actually like code it. First off, let's make our variables. At export var area 3D. So var is picked up bool equals false. At export var item name string. At export underscore multiline, which will let us do multiple paragraphs. Var item description string. At export var item texture 2D. I just realized we don't need this one. You'll see why in a second. Let's head over to the player. So let's add an area to them too. Area 3D. Add a collision shape. Make it a sphere shape. Then expand it to be about that big, I guess. Yeah, that works. Now let's go at export var interaction shape. Then we want to do area 3D. Then let's assign that to that. Boom. Let's go right at the top of this physics process. Let's go hashtag check for interactables for area in interaction shape dot get overlapping areas. I just realized it'd be way easier if we just like right click, then make scene root. Boom. Now we can just delete that. That'll be a lot easier. That'll be a lot easier for us since we'll just be able to directly look at this. We want to reattach the script too, so reattach it, load. Then we want to make it extend area 3D. So now when we go over here, we could just do if area is item. Boom. So then if area is item and is input dot is action just pressed, we need to add a button for interacting. So just do interact I will make this left click because that's what I prefer. You can make this like E or something if you're more of a Roblox person. Interact. So then we want to pick up this item. So let's add some more variables. Don't you just love adding variables? I'm so full of variables. So let's do var inventory array of item. Then we also want var inventory slots int. Let's set that to 3. Then we go into ready. Then we go inventory dot resize. Now let's resize it to inventory slots. Boom. Now down here, we want to... So first of all, we're going to want to find the first empty slot in the inventory. So first empty slot equals inventory dot find null. Oh, yeah, we also want to do var. So if first empty slot equals -1, let me check that it's -1, right? Yeah. If it equals -1, then we just want to continue. We just want to continue because that means there's no empty slots and we can't do anything. Otherwise, inventory first empty slot equals area. Now we can pick up items. Let's also make it so that area dot is picked up equals true. That makes it so that it actually knows it's picked up. So now let's go back into item. Let's make our process function. Func underscore process visible equals is picked up. That's just a temporary solution so that we can just actually see if the item is being picked up. Now let's go into node 3. Let's go into our main world. Let's drag and drop the item into there. Now let's play the game. And where okay, yeah, we have to do visible is picked up because if it's picked up, we want it to be if it's picked up, we don't want it to be visible and vice versa, and we have to basically invert it. So yeah. Now we can see it. We errored. Oh, I just realized I misspelled the entire value. Is picked up. I misspelled the entire value. Okay, yeah. Now if we run grab it, boom, it's invisible and it's probably in our inventory. Now let's mess with these values that we made earlier. So see over here we have item name, item description, item texture. Let's change those. Let's name it item that gives you stamina. It gives stamina. Yay. Now for our item texture, let's just like draw like a quick little thingy. Okay, I made a folder named assets where I'm going to keep all the sprites at. So we're just going to drag and drop that into there. There's our epic item texture. So now let's go into the player. Let's make some UI for our epic little inventory. So we want to make an H box. This H box will hold all of our little textures for items. So now let's make it anchors. Let's make it bottom right. Let's expand it out a bit to be like this big. Let's actually make it on the grid. Fuck. Let's add 3 texture rects in. Let's add it. Now let's add this texture rec. Go into layout. Make it give it a minimum size of like 128. Yeah. Then duplicate it 2 times. This is just a temporary, like, messy little solution. If you want to have more than 3 inventory slots or like make it like vary per character, then you're going to have to make a little more modular of a solution. But for now, this works. So now let's make an export for that H box at export var inventory box hbox container. Then over here, let's assign that to that for I in inventory box dot get children count of our child texture rect equals inventory box dot get child I. So then if inventory I equals does not equal null, then child dot texture equals inventory I dot item texture. Boom. So now if we pick this up, there is our item. Look, it's our item, guys. It's our oh oh yeah. Yeah, that can happen. Why does going full screen like do that? I mean, I know why, but this is really funny. So now we can pick up our item. Let's first of all make binds for every item slot. I don't know a better way to do this, but this works. So item slot 1, assign that to 1. No. Slot 2. Assign that to 2. Slot 3. Assign that to 3. It's me, mushroom girl. Item slot 4. Item slot 4. Assign that to 4. Yeah. The reason I added a 4th one is like just in case you want to have a 4th inventory slot, but like I'm not gonna get into that in the tutorial. Bleh. So now let's continue this loop right here. If input dot is action just press item slot, and then here's the really advanced thing. I mean, it's not advanced. Plus str I plus 1. Essentially, that's checking. That's making us check item slot and then str and then I plus 1 because I starts at 0. So and our item slot starts at 1. So then we want to do inventory if inventory I is not equal null, then inventory I dot underscore use. Did we add a use? Oh, we didn't add a use function. Func underscore use. Let's just make that pass for now. All right, nice. So let's go back to that use function. Let's make it actually give us stamina. So we want use to pass in player colon player. Oh, we didn't make player a class yet. Nice. So then player dot stamina plus equals 50. That's very basic. So now we also want to pass in self for a player. So now if we pick up this item, then we use it, we get back 50 stamina. Boom. Yay. Joyous day. Joyous day. But it doesn't actually use up the item, so we also want to call Q free. Now, if we pick up this item, we use it. Something went wrong. What just happened? Oh, I just realized. We forgot to set the child the texture back to we want to do else child the texture equals null. There we go. So now if we go over here, pick it up. There we go. That item is dead forever and yay. Cool. Yeah, woo. Yeah. The item works, but it doesn't spawn in the floor. If we go to the floor, there's no item here. So let's make a way for this for the floor to randomly spawn some items. Let's go back to main. Let's delete this random item. Now we want to go assets. Now let's go levels, floors, open up floor template. And here is our floor template. Now in floors, we want to create new. Let's create a folder named spawn nodes. Let's create a new scene named item spawn node. Here is where the items, this is where the items will spawn. So let's go back to floor template. Let's create a new node, node 3D. Then let's rename it to item spawn positions. Now let's put that under there, and we can move that around, and that's where an item will spawn. So one small thing I should note is that you can actually, is the reason we made it a scene is so that you can add like a sprite or something. You can add a sprite, and then you'll know, and then you'll be able to, then when you go in here, look, there's the sprite. So then you can use that to actually tell where your item spawns are, which will be very helpful if you're like debugging a map or like trying to rebalance it. So let's just add a few across the map. There we go. There's our item spawn positions. Let's determine what we want our item count to be. So let's just make it like let's just do 5 items for now. Just a static 5. We won't do any scaling or anything for floor number. We also want to make an export for this. So export var items spawn positions node 3D. Then in floor template, we got to add a pass here. Then let's go item spawn positions. So then for I in 5, that will repeat 5 times basically. So first off, let's start by getting all the spawn position. So var spawn positions array equals that. So then spawn positions dot pick random var child equals, that will give us a random this will give us a random spawn position. Then we also want to do spawn positions dot erase child, and then child dot q free. We want to make that a node 3D. That is enough to actually get us a position, so that in between those, when we want to do, I forgot to do up here, var item packed scene equals load item.tscn. So then var new item item equals item dot instantiate. So then add underscore child new item, and then new item dot position equals child dot position. Then that will make our items spawn. Boom! We have our items in random positions. Oh, but it doesn't seem like we can. Doesn't seem like we can use them because. Doesn't seem like we can use them after we use another item because I messed up somewhere. And I know exactly where. What we have to do is right here when we do inventory.use. So you go back to use. Let's make it this return a bool. So now we can return true. Why do I do that? Essentially, we want to make it return true on this function if it's just used and it's ready to leave the inventory. This is for like if we want to use like an item like gumballs or something that's multi-use, or if we just want to like have it not delete the item after we use it. So now var result equals, then if result, then we will inventory I equals null. That will make it so that we can actually, it actually frees up slots in our inventory when we use items. So now if we grab like that item, the next item will also go back to slot 1, and we can have multiple items, and boom. Okay, so there's one last issue we need to solve. Currently, you can't go to the next floor, but when you are able to go to the next floor, it's going to delete all the items in your inventory. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that it doesn't do that. So when you pick up an item, we're essentially going to just make it so that it reparents it to the main scene. So, see in here where we grab the item. Now we are going to area.reparent self. That will send the item inside the player, so that when it frees the actual scene, it'll basically it won't delete the item. Yep. And that's all I got for you today. Stay tuned for the next episode because it's releasing a little later. Oh, but since there's a bit of a delay, I have the homework for you. You got homework. Your challenge is to figure out how to make multiple different types of items in the most modular way possible. I've given you all the tools that you need to figure this out, and if you can figure it out, you get coolness points. I'll reveal the answer in the next episode.